Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Fandom Forum, where we will take you through the newest comic series, Crimson Reign. The title of the first issue is The Orphans. It was written by Charles Soule, who is an esteemed Star Wars writer by now, who has other workings like the Rise of Kylo Ren comic series and his first Star Wars novel that came out earlier this year, Light of the Jedi. It was illustrated by Stephen Cummings, and it was released on Wednesday, December 8th, 2021 by Marvel Comics. Now, this comic series, if you were wondering what it is about, and before I go through the story, here is the publisher's summary. After the dawn comes the rain. The story that began the War of the Bounty Hunters continues here in the second installment of a trilogy that will reshape the history of the Star Wars galaxy during the Age of the Rebellion. Featuring the return of beloved characters, shocking twists, epic feats of the Force, and a story that will reach the Star Wars darkest underworld all the way to the Imperial Palace on Coruscant. Crimson Reign is a Star Wars saga like no other. So, to start the story off, we take a look at the cover of this piece done by Stephen Cummings. We see Qi'ra in a fighting stance with her two electro swords, able to withstand clashes from a lightsaber without damage. In the background, we have none other than Darth Vader and Pappy Palps looking in control, as always. Now, it seems that the entire first issue is narrated by this character she refers herself as the Archivist. Somehow, her energy or spirit is trapped inside this unusual holocron. It is activated by someone we don't see in this issue at all, and it's someone who opened it up with the light side of the Force, so I'm personally thinking it's Luke. But he's with someone because he says, "I'll activate it for you." So we see this spirit of the Archivist tell the story of what seems to be the fall of Crimson Dawn, the criminal syndicate ran by Qi'ra, successor of Maul. The Archivist explains that Maul was a monster that gave these liars and thieves and killers nothing, and Qi'ra was giving them purpose, something they didn't have before. Qi'ra had got some of the most ruthless killers and underworld scum she could find. She got the likes of the Knights of Ren, Chanath Cha in the Orphans, Deathstick, Ochi of Bestoon, Margot and Trinia, who were Kira's top advisors, and herself, the Archivist. They all had one common enemy that was hindering them from flourishing. That was the Sith. Qi'ra gives a recap of the Sith and her predecessor Maul, who once was a Sith before being almost killed. She explained to the group of killers that Maul and others were used, and once done being useful, they were thrown away. Qi'ra then explains how the structure of the galaxy should be. It should be like an endless mountain range, where everyone has the same opportunity to flourish any way see fit. But under the Empire's control, it was a pyramid where Pappy Palps and his number 2, Father Vader, sat at the top and destroyed anyone who tried to obtain their level of power. The only true free person in the galaxy was Pappy Palps himself. She explains they are the most powerful 2 people in the galaxy, and they must die, so the galaxy can live. Qi'ra then goes around the room telling them what Pappy Palps and the Empire took from each of them. They took the Knights of Ren's ambition, the Orphans' love and hope, Deathstick's identity, Ochi of Bestoon's vision, and the Archivist's legacy. Qi'ra doesn't hold back and says, "None of us are good, and some of us are worse than others." Qi'ra trusts no one, and they should not trust her. Qi'ra says they've learned a lot from Maul about the Sith, but she has been able to find more on her own. She tells them that whatever they are after, profits, knowledge, freedom, or justice, we can all get what we want out of this as long as we work together. Next step of her plan was to go to all the rival syndicates and set up meetings with each of the head honchos and ask them to use Crimson Dawn for any of their dirty work, and manipulates them all to believe that the Empire is looking for a new criminal empire partner after what the Hutts did. Qi'ra really sells it at the end, stating not to forget them when the credits start rolling in. The Orphans really started the dirty work and begun creating havoc across the syndicates and making all the other syndicates think the other syndicates did the chaos. I mean, why would it be Crimson Dawn? After all, they just established their help to all the other crime syndicates, and plus their size is much smaller in comparison. It would be foolish, so no one expected anything from them. The Orphans stirred up things for Black Sun, the Pikes, the Hutts, and more. The plan is quite brilliant. and still in the top syndicates that the Almighty Empire is looking for a new criminal partner after what the Hutts did to the Empire back in the War of the Bounty Hunters crossover comic series. Then start turning the syndicates against each other so that they wipe each other out, leaving Crimson Dawn at the top and a worthy adversary to Pappy Pelps and Father Vader. Now, Pappy Pelps was not pleased with what was going on, and he took action in sending Darth Vader after those who are responsible. The archivist narrates that the orphans' play at creating chaos among the syndicates was not the only plan set in motion. Up next was the Knights of Ren, and they were going to assassinate someone. Ren showed respect for Qi'ra as one who cannot touch the shadows, aka use the Force, that she was impressive. The Knights of Ren are heading for Fortress Vader on Mustafar, and Ren says they will become legends for this. Now, obviously, I think they survived this encounter because, Darth Vader's grandson, Ben Solo, would soon kill Ren and take his place as the leader of the Knights of Ren. Ochi of Bestoon and other assassins were getting ready for their parts as well. Ochi has seen the light, so he thinks, and Qi'ra calls him lost. Unlike Ochi, Deathstick was not lost and waiting for her time of revenge. She is a cyborg, and we get her first glance of her full head and face as we see that the skin is missing from around her mouth, making her really creepy looking. The archivist goes to the archives of Crimson Dawn and finds a clue for their next plan, in using the Jedi, or maybe even Yoda himself, as bait for Pappy Pelps and Vader. The archivist talks about the Jedi being powerful allies to them, as they do have a common goal in defeating the Sith. One group just has more morality than the other. Margot and Trinia tell Qi'ra that everything is set in motion for now, and Qi'ra explains to them that Jabba knows that the Empire isn't really looking for a new partner, and he will play the long game and wait this out on Tatooine. Qi'ra tells Margot and Trinia that she will reach out to Leia Organa and the Rebels, and says that the Rebels will be a part of this whether they like it or not. The archivist narrates that this story is about the fall of Crimson Dawn. The story is a tragedy. Meanwhile, in the actual story, Qi'ra thinks this plan will really work. Those are the worst last words ever. Up next are the Assassins and their objectives. Crimson Reign Issue 2, not out until February 2nd, 2022, so we got some time to wait and find out what's going to happen, but I want your feedback, so let me know in the comments or on our Facebook page of what you think is going to happen next. I just want to say thank you guys for watching this first project of the Fandom Forum. I want this channel and this podcast to be able to be entertaining and informative to the content that I put out. So thank you all for any time that you spent watching this. Please give a like and hit the subscribe button so you are caught up to date with all things Star Wars and Marvel. Hosted by your funny and awkward host, Dustin, aka me. Thanks again, and may the Force be with you, always.